7, this is going quick, isn't it, of Season 6 in the Formula PlayStation League, which brings us to the 9,992, I should say, square kilometre city of Melbourne, and the near climax of what has been a fascinating season of drama. Vapor Trench, winless though he is, leads the way by 30 points. Once again this week, I'm joined by Monaco race winner last week in Division 2, Benjamin Eriksson. Welcome, Ben. First of all, I think it's worth talking about last week, actually. How special was it winning the Monaco Grand Prix?
It was definitely special winning the Monaco Grand Prix, especially because I started at P3, so I was like, if I can get a podium this race, it would be amazing. But then a safety car came out at the exact right time for me, and I could pit for fresh mediums and just go on from there. But it was definitely very special for me to win there because I didn't expect it at the start.
3 points clear in the Division 2 Championship. Now, obviously, it's going to be tight to the end. You guys still have a number of races left in the season. 9 races for you guys this season after one of the rounds was called off. What do you think of your chances of winning the title in Division 2 from here? And is it more just about promotion to Division 1 rather than going for the championship?
I mean, of course, I would like to get promoted to Division 1, but you know, I'm always going to go for the victory and go for the championship as well. But I just have to keep it consistent and not do any stupid things that I have done at some point during this season. But I need to keep it consistent, and hopefully I can fight for the championship at the end of the season.
We arrive at a circuit here that is 2 kilometers longer than Monaco last time out. The tight and twisty streets of Monaco replaced by the twisty, not so tight main roads of Melbourne, which actually most of them are used over the course of the weekend. It's pretty incredible. This is just a general observation, not really anything relevant, but it's quite incredible how they managed to transform these roads into a race for the weekend. I've always thought that's really fascinating. I don't know about you, maybe that's just me, but
it definitely is fascinating because, you know, all the different average you have to put up as well, like 5 kilometers of average going around this track for, like they have to put barriers up for the entire track. I mean, that's must take some time to do because you have to take it up and then take it down after each year. So it's definitely impressive.
Yeah, it's a big effort. A big shout out to all the guys and girls that managed to get that done every weekend at street tracks like this one here in Melbourne, Australia. 5 different winners from the first 6 races. We saw Carwin Robb win a Grand Prix, just his second race in the FPSL last week in Monaco. It was a good race, Ben, but we expected a safety car the whole way through to shake things up, and it amazingly didn't happen at Monaco. We were shocked about that.
Yeah, it was amazing that we had like 5 VSCs, and a lot of the incidents that we had, we thought had to put out the safety car because the incidents were quite big, or they were in the middle of the track, so we definitely expected a safety car, but it didn't came. Unlucky.
Watching Cobalt on his first lap in the Williams. It is pretty overcast. Almost looks as though there is a little bit of rain in the air, so we'll keep you updated on that and see if there is any weather that's going to interfere with the qualifying session. Ben, obviously you know a hell of a lot better than me. If it does start to rain in the qualifying session, how difficult is it to keep the car on the track, let alone find lap time?
It's definitely difficult to keep the car on the track if it starts to rain, and therefore I think it's a good idea for the drivers to get out early, as we see a lot of them are getting out early, so they might have some rain coming because they can see it on their forecast. But we might have to see, but the lap times are definitely going to get slower as soon as the rain is going to come, if it's going to come.
7 of our 17 drivers have just headed out onto the track. Elian, Shea, Canute have decided to stay in for the time being, so maybe they don't feel as though it's going to rain. It might even get sunnier, who knows. The drivers have a much better idea than we do. In the commentary box, here comes Cobalt then to start his first qualifying lap as he brings that Williams down towards turn 1. He's out-qualified his teammate Reese 3 times this season, and been out-qualified by his teammate 3 times, so it's a really competitive battle between those two. And how it unfolds for Cobalt this time around. No Reese with us today, unfortunately. He hasn't been able to join us for qualifying, but Cobalt certainly will, I'm sure, do an excellent job of flying the flag for the Williams team, who, of course, earlier this year, before the Italian Grand Prix, had to sell up Claire Williams and Frank Williams, leaving the sport, which was a shame. Ben, I've never really asked you about that, but it was sad to see the Williams family leave Formula One after such a long time.
Yeah, it was definitely sad, because the Williams have been in the F1 for like all the time it's been there, and the team has been there. It's always been the family who kept the team going. So to see some new faces in Williams is definitely a bit weird, and you need to get used to it, because it's not a Williams who is gonna be the principal for the team.
Yeah, Cobalt just had his lap invalidated, so he's had to bring his Williams back into the pits. So maybe all that talk about Williams was upsetting him, so he didn't want to set a lap. Here comes Brown in the Alpha Tauri, back with us today after missing the Monaco Grand Prix. And he has managed to qualify his teammate Jack Prentice once this season as he goes off the track. And that is going to be that time down the drain as well for the AlphaTauri driver, as Kieran, replacing Kasu for this Grand Prix, has gone fastest. 1 minute 20.9, 1 minute 20.0 from Bazooka Joe in the Alfa Romeo. As Brown with a 122.2 that slots in behind them, but of course he can do a lot better than that after making that mistake earlier on in the lap. Sam in the other Alfa Romeo has just started the lap as well. He's coming through turn 4. Now through 5 and in towards a chicane of 6 and 7. Clips the grass and clips it again, and has it as a result. Ben, what's this track like for track limits? Because that's already validated. Is it one of the more difficult ones to avoid getting a penalty at?
I think this track is very harsh in terms of...
sorry, TDB's just spun out of turn 12, and he's facing the wrong way. Manages to avoid the barrier, does very well there, yeah. But just took too much curve on the exit of turn 12. And I guess that's those track limits we were talking about, just catching somebody out. Go on, Ben.
Okay. I definitely think it's a bit harsh, because if you really want to get all of the track that you need, you have to be really careful, because there's grass a lot of places as well, and if you want to get the optimal lap time, you really need to be careful of not going too wide. But you still need to go wide, because you can't keep it on the track as much as you can on other tracks, because then you're going to get your lap time invalidated, especially in the chicane in the second sector.
Elliot just slightly clipped the wall on the exit of turn 10, but managed to keep the car going. I think though he has got front wing damage, so that's going to be his lap over as well pretty quickly, as Vapor Canute's teammate also begins a lap. Morgan in the Haas has just gone fastest as well whilst we were talking there, and he's come in for Vapor King for this Grand Prix. So the reserve driver, as Canute goes wide and it validates his lap. It's 2 reserve drivers top of the leaderboard, Ben. That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive to see that the reserves can perform as well, and they might have a great shot at doing good this race and show what they're made of.
We will see. Just under 12 minutes to go of Australia, so still time for somebody else to grab pole. Cobalt has gone back out again after having his first lap invalidated and gone out on tyres, which is less of a shock than it was in Monaco to see the yellow-walled tyres being bought out. And he's gone purple as well in the first sector, has Cobalt, according to the track map on my screen, but of course that has been known to tell a few lies. Through turns 9 and 10 he goes, runs it close to the barrier and up now towards the quick left-hander of turn 11, which leads straight into turn 12. Really tricky chicane to get right, as he's just proven, but he does so well to keep the car facing in the right direction. Would have lost a couple of tenths there as he collected the back end in towards turn 13, uses the curb and into 14 in 6th gear. This time manages to go through that corner without invalidating the lap, as through 15 he comes. Once again has to slightly collect the back end as it tries to drift away from it and opens up the DRS up towards the line. And Cobart's lap time in the Williams is a 1 minute 21.7 to go 5th fastest on the mediums. It's not bad, is it, Ben?
That's a pretty solid lap time, but as we can see, it's only 7 drivers who have put in a time, but he'll wait and see what the other drivers put in, and he might stay on the mediums to get a different strategy than the other.
Yeah, I think though it is a good time for the mediums, I think he might want to switch over to the softs towards the end. James has just gone second. He missed Monaco because he had a race ban carried over from China for a bit of a, let's say, a bit of a scrap on track with Vapor King, as Vapor Trench, our championship leader, goes 3rd fastest. What's the approach now for Trench, Ben? Because he's 30 points put in the championship, having not yet won a race. Crazy to think. Does he go for the win every race, or does he just try and finish in as good a position as possible to get the championship? Because at the moment, he is the most consistent performer.
I mean, you always want the win no matter what track and how much in front you are in the championship. A win is always the optimal result for a driver. But I'm definitely thinking that he isn't gonna risk anything if it comes to that, but he'll still of course try to go for the win, but he wants to keep it consistent and keep his lead throughout the season.
Sam has headed back out to the circuit. He's got a little bit of traffic in front of him as he just negotiates, I believe, JT in the Red Bull going slowly, and the McLaren as well through turns 11 and 12, and opens up the DRS on the run now through the kink down toward 13 as he gets onto the brakes. The DRS closes, clips the apex, and now in towards 14. These final couple of corners make a lot of difference in Melbourne. In towards the heavy braking zone of 15, now around the final corner of 16. Clips the inside curve. This has been a very good final sector, this, for Sam. As up towards the line in the Alfa Romeo to go 3rd. 1 minute 20.0, 6 tenths away from the pace setter Morgan. And that is Sam just off the front row. What's happened, Ben?
We had the Ferrari of Ilian. He spun going out of turn 4.
Yep.
And he's stuck.
Damaged track as well. So yeah, so we saw him lose his front wing earlier, and he knocked his front wing off the car. So Elian's not having a great time of it so far, yet to set a lap, as is his teammate Vapor Canute, but he is currently on an out lap. Carwin Robb, the race winner in Monaco, has also just started a lap. His teammate Morgan, P1 at the moment. So a little bit to Carwin Robb in just his 3rd race in the Formula PlayStation League. He scored points in each of his first 2, and of course got the win as well at the Monaco Grand Prix after a tense final few laps between himself, Canute, and Vapor Trench. But a late overtake on Canute saw him take the maximum points from that race week. Around the final corner, Cohen Robb then opens up the DRS and up towards the line now. Him, Lorna Lamb's retired from the session, so no lap time. Up to 4th goes Rob, 1:23, 9 tenths away his teammate Morgan. So both the Haas cars with top 5, and here and now in P5 for Red Bull at 20.4 is lap time. So we no longer have 2 reserve drivers in the top 2. James, who is in 2nd, was a reserve in Singapore when he took the win, and that win earned him his permanent seat that he's currently got a racing point. Speaking of racing point, here comes Vapor Shea round the final corner and up towards the line for him. What can he do here? Oh, he only goes P11, 1 minute 21.2. You normally expect better than that from Vapor Shea, so I imagine he probably made a mistake somewhere on the lap. Here comes Vapor Canute in towards the final couple of corners. Last season's champion, but hasn't won a race yet in season 6. 4 points finishes, 3 podiums as well. Can he take his first pole? Well, he's on pole. Excuse me, 2nd pole. 1 minute 19.2. Ferrari driver. So here for 2 poles in a row. And Ben, after not taking the victory from pole in Monaco, he'll be desperate, Vapor Canute, to convert pole position to victory here if he can hang on for pole.
Yeah, that was a really good lap from Vapor Canute. and he might have some more time to gain, we don't know, but he's definitely looking for a pole and for a win this weekend after what happened in Monaco.
Well, JT's lap has gone out the window just as quickly as he started it. So I think he might have damaged well, actually. Yeah, on the left. So he didn't set a lap in Monaco. It was one of the major shocks of qualifying. JT was right down the... So hopefully he'll be able to get himself on the board this time. As Morgan comes back into the pits, 1 minute 19.4 for the Haas driver, just 2/10 away from Vapor Canute. So I think we could be set here for a pretty interesting battle for pole. TDB's just had his lap invalidated. He's down in P11, so he's second at the World Championship as TDB. You then have to look only a further 2 points back to find Vapor Canute. But TDB, the nearest challenger to Vapor Trench, is currently outside the top 10, so he knows that he'll need to improve on that lap time. And of course, Ben, there is the potential threat of rain in the final part of qualifying here. And if that does arrive, then basically we're not going to be seeing that grandstand finish to qualifying, unfortunately.
I hope that the rain is going to stay away, because I would really like to see the final battle for pole position, and to see if some other drivers can come up and challenge Vapor Canute on his pole position.
Vapor Canute last time became the 5th pole sitter in Season 6 in the Formula PlayStation League in Division 1. It was JT, James, TDB and Reese that had taken pole before him. One of those is not with us today. That's Reese, of course, in the Williams. And will we see a new pole sitter? Well, Morgan just 2/10 away. James a further 5/10 back. But it's towards the end of the session that we tend to see the lap times plummet as the track hits its peak in terms of grip. And well, hopefully, as Ben says, that will happen. Hopefully we're not going to see that rain. That will just ruin the end of qualifying that we're expecting to be very entertaining indeed. Right, here comes Elian. 3rd attempt at setting a lap time in the session.
Oh, getting out of traffic. Oh,
no. And he's come very close there to the Red Bull, which I believe was Kieran. It was Kieran. So he will not be happy with that. Elian, well, that's his 3rd lap time in the bin, unfortunately, but he will have time to go around and set another one. Just that was such unfortunate timing that as everybody else was coming out of the pits. It wasn't really anyone's fault, Ben, but that sucks really for Elian, because he just can't seem to get a lap time in at the moment.
He has been really unlucky so far, and he also has some wing damage, but he might still have time to go in the pits and go quickly out again to set a lap time if he can get back to the pits pretty quickly.
Very tight. I wonder if he might just consider doing his lap with a damaged front wing. At least he'd get some lap time on the board. It's him and JT thus far who are yet to set a lap time. So I would imagine that Elian's going to be the last of our current runners. Lord Lamb, of course, is going to be the very last, because he hasn't set a lap and he is retired from the session in the McLaren. And that's going to mean as well, it's going to be a clean sweep so far. 7 for Vapor Trench out qualifying his team, who has 2-point finishes to his name from the first 6 races. A steady enough start for the newly promoted driver, but I'm absolutely certainly would have preferred better than that. Start his Division 1 career. Right, here comes Morgan, P2. 2/10 away from Vapor Canute, who is on provisional pole position at the moment, the Haas driver, in his first race in Season 6. What it would mean for a reserve driver to walk straight in and put the car on pole position. Well, Morgan potentially has a chance to do that here. Currently on the front. Can he pull this off? As he negotiates the first sector and towards a chicane of turns 9 and 10. At the Australian Grand Prix since it came to Melbourne in 1996. And he's getting very close here to the Ferrari, which I believe is Elliott. Through turns 11 and 12. Oh, picks up the dirty air and just about avoids contact with the slow-moving Ferrari, who I think there really could have done a bit better to get out of the way. But Really good lap this from Morgan. He's throwing that car around the circuit. And is this going to take pole position? Through turn 15 he comes, clips the apex, brings the car in towards the final corner of 16. If he doesn't take pole, I'm sure he'll probably blame Elian in Ferrari for getting in his way. But up towards the line comes Morgan. No, not good enough. 119.3, so he gets a bit closer to Canute. Still not enough for the time being. Here comes Canute. Can he make sure of his second pole? Yes, he can. 119.2 again. It's a little bit quicker. And surely that's going to be enough for pole position. Vapor Trench has got up to P3, 119.7 from the McLaren driver. Kieran's out of the session in the Red Bull, so we're not going to be seeing him improve, as does Carwin Robb. Sam as well, coming through turns 11 and 12 in the Alfa at the moment, who is all in the Ferrari and set to take 2 in a row after the Monaco Grand Prix. And we'll see as well, of course, if he can convert this one into the victory, as he was unable to do in Monaco last time out. Here comes Sam then, in towards turn 15. Round. Can he get himself closer to the top 3? Potentially even on the front row. Sam, P3, 119.6 from him. Displaces Vapor Trench, who's come into the pits. What about Cobalt? He's going to be P6. He's backed out of his lap. And JT in the Red Bull launches his car up into P3. In the barrier as well is Vapor Shea, I believe, in the racing part. I'm actually not too sure which one that is. I believe it's Vapor Shea, who's
no, it's James.
It's James. Oh, it is James. He's nestled in the barrier, so he's P6 for the Australian Grand Prix. Cobalt pushed out to P7. And as the final few drivers set their laps, that is going to be it. And Vapor Canute here in Australia for round number 7, after taking pole in Monaco, has pole in Melbourne with his teammate Elian with a 126.6 down in P16. So contrasting fortunes for the two Ferraris, but it's Vapor Canute, our current reigning champion, on pole again, Benjamin.
Yeah, that's just another amazing qualifying from Canute, but now he needs to keep it going for the race and get this race win that he needs.
Yeah, slightly easier, of course, in Melbourne to keep the car out of the barriers, but still, those barriers are waiting for anyone who does make a major mistake. Canute then P1 in qualifying in Australia. Morgan second. What a performance for him in qualifying in his debut for Haas. JT in P3 for Red Bull. Sam in P4. Trench takes 5th for McLaren. James in P6 in the Racing Point. Cobalt 7th. Jack Prentice in 8th. Carwin Robb is P9. Vapor Shea rounds up the top 10 in the other Racing Point. Disappointing day really for Racing Point in qualifying. Kieran P11. Bazooka Joe in 12th. Buttons back P13. TDB in 14th. Brown 15th, Elian 16th, and Lorna Lamb with no lap time set, retired early on in the session, down in P17 to start the Australian Grand Prix. That was the 5th time in 7 races that Sam's out-qualified Bazooka Joe. But Bazooka Joe looking to outrace Sam for the 4th time this season. It's been a bit of a ding-dong battle between those two in terms of qualifying going into the Grand Prix. And nice and sunny for the Australian Grand Prix as well, by the looks of it. So this is really what we're used to seeing when the F1 circus goes to Melbourne for the first race of the season. Of course, F1 was supposed to be racing around the Albert Park circuit in March, but of course that got called off due to what is it, Ben? Something happened this year. I don't remind me.
I can't remember.
No. Oh well. Let us know in the comments. Something's been going on this year. I don't know what. There have been 13 different winners, an unlucky 13, you could say, in Australia, in the 24 races that have been contested here since '96. Mercedes Power have taken 11 of those wins. Renault Power have 5 of them. And, of course, Mercedes dominant. Ferrari, though, taken a couple of wins in 2017 and 2018. If they would have raced at Australia this year, Ben, I doubt Ferrari would have been on the top step. I think that's... Canute is on pole here.
the Ferrari comes to pit.
In Melbourne or Australia. Put us in the shoes of, obviously you're not in Division 1 just yet, Ben. Put us in the shoes of a debutant in the FPS. Morgan starting second place on the grid. How are the nerves going to be for him?
Oh, the nerves for him are definitely going to be on top. Because, I mean, he gets the chance to show what he's made of now, and he's done a pretty good qualifying so far, and it's definitely gonna be a bit nervous. I know that because also my first race in FPSL, even though it was in Division 2 in the middle of the season, you always get that feeling at the start of a race that you need to do good, and you hope you're gonna do good, but no matter what race or how much you have driven, you are still gonna be a bit nervous and excited for the race.
We'll see what he can manage. It was the second time this season that JT's out-qualified a teammate as well. First Kasu, and now Kieran. And having not set a lap in qualifying in Monaco, it was always difficult for him to score points. And indeed he didn't score points, retiring from the race. From P3 on the grid though, you fancy a driver like JT to have a shot at the win, don't you really?
Yeah, I do. Of course. But I mean, I really think anyone inside the top 6 have a chance of a win this race, because they're all really quick drivers.
Yeah, well, let's hope for an entertaining race and potentially, cough cough, a safety car, maybe. Nearly underway then for round number 7. The Australian Grand Prix is underway. Really good start as well from Morgan from second on the grid. Sam making a fantastic getaway in the Alfa Romeo. JT tucked in behind Canute. Down the inside goes James into turn 1. Did he manage to put off the move? He's up into P4, I believe. So it's actually Vapor Shea getting up there. So what a start from Shea from P10. Getting himself up to P4, I believe. No, it was James, because the timing screens have once again done that weird thing. So, yeah, it was James. I was right first time. Co-Masters screwing me over again. But Vapor Canute leads at the end of the first sector. JT following the Haas of Morgan. Good start from Morgan in the Haas. Manages to hold on to it's all gone wrong, although no, he hasn't. He's not good in the gravel, because once again Codemaster's lagging, and he's still good. He's still P2 in the Haas. I don't know what's been happening these last couple of weeks, Ben, but first of all it was Monaco, and now it's here in Melbourne, where the game's showing Morgan.
We have a few drivers off at the chicane, and they almost went. Oh, no, we don't. Never mind. Yeah,
he had the same thing as me. Vapor Shea side by side with Carwin Rob. Rob round the outside of Vapor Shea. That's a really good move from Carwin Rob, and a little bit of Constantino as well as Shea goes into the back of Rob. And Jack Prentice also nudges Vapor Shea from behind as well. As Vapor Canute with the fastest lap, and Cobalt's left the session in the Williams, so hopefully for him he'll be able to continue. Jack Prentice side by side now with, I believe, Bazooka Joe, and off the track it was a little bit it was Sam indeed, he was side by side with it got a little bit messy there between those two, and Carwin Rob is once again defending from Vapor Shea. Trench has managed to escape up the road away from him. And, well, what a start in the midfield, particularly Carwin Rob pulling off a great move on Vapor Shea. Getting up to P6. Vapor Shea himself has made a couple of positions up to P7. And behind them, Jack Prentice is just in front of Sam as they come through turns 9 and 10. Kovacs rejoins, so, well, that disconnection's put him down to P15, unfortunately. So he's got some ground to make up. But Jack and Sam just had a really good battle on the last lap, and might be about to have one here. Buttons back, just picked up a penalty. Here comes Sam. No DRS yet. He might not need it. Down towards turn 13. No, doesn't go for the move just yet on Jack Prentice. He's opening a couple of laps, of course, contested without the use of DRS. And in towards turn 15. Jack Prentice actually does have a bit of front wing damage on his AlphaTauri, which is why Sam is all over the back of him. Jack, though, decides not to pit just yet. And down towards turn 1 comes the Alfa Romeo of Sam as he closes up with a slipstream. And isn't able to get the move done just yet on the AlphaTauri. Driver slightly loses the back end. Going through turn 2, Bazooka Joe is defending from Kieran for the final points paying position. of P10 as we rejoin the chasing pack. Knut is still leading this Grand Prix. Morgan in second place behind him. JT rounding up the podium positions at the moment with TRT James just behind him in P4 after a really good start for the Racing Point driver. It's been a good start really for both Racing Points. One up to P4 and one up to P7 off the start here in Melbourne. James just outside the podium positions. It's actually very, very close indeed to JT. JT and James, both very, very quick drivers in Division 1. But a really good start, Ben, from Knut. It was really important for him to make that good getaway so that he could control the pace. Oh, safety car. I'm going to stop you before you even get a chance to answer, because we have a safety car. Into the pits comes Knut. Well, we waited so long in Monaco for one, and it didn't happen, and now we've finally got one in Australia. And it is, I believe, because Brown in the AlphaTauri has retired from the Grand Prix. I'm not too sure where his car is, as TDB is just going around turn 12. TDB, yeah, there we go. So Brown's lost the back end out of turn 12 and ended up in the barrier. So that is him out of the race. That is why we have the safety car. And TDB is, having made a really bad start, is down in P16. And you're absolutely right, Ben. Bazooka Joe and Kieran have both carried on. And Morgan out of all that, he's pitted. And he's ended up ahead of Knut. So something went badly wrong for Knut in his pit stop, because Morgan now has, well, essentially, Ben, the race lead here in Melbourne. So I don't know what happened there to Knut, but clearly it was a slow stop or something, because that has just put him out of the race lead.
Might have got some damage, but it looks really weird that Ilian coming in between.
Well, Knut came into the pits quite a long way in front of Morgan and JT as well, but he's ended up still ahead of JT. So Bazooka Joe then, as a result of this, leads the Australian Grand Prix in round number 7. Kieran behind him in the Red Bull with Morgan in P3. Morgan, Elian, Elian was already starting on the hards actually, but Knut and JT have gone on to the hards. But further down, most drivers, Baker Trench, James, who else? Shea, Buttons Back, Cobalt and TDB have all gone on to the medium tyres. Once again, Ben, you have a lot more knowledge than I do. The mediums can't make it to the end, can they? Or
the mediums can't.
Can the hards even make it from here?
If you manage your hard tyres really good, they can't last for the rest of the race. I had an example in France where I got damage on lap 2 and I pitted for the hards and I made them last all the way to the end, and they were on about 70-80%, so definitely in puncture territory, but you can do it if you keep really good or if you take really good care of your hard tires. But the guys on the mediums are definitely going for to start. There's no way the mediums are gonna last the race, so they're probably doing a medium to soft after pitting onto those mediums.
We'll see how that pans out. If the hard runners aren't able to make their tyres go to the end, kicking was really just thinking, well, why didn't it just go on to the mediums anyway? But we'll see how that plays out. As I say, these drivers know what they're doing a lot better than I do, so I'm gonna trust that. So yeah, we'll see. Of course, and damage as well, and close racing, dirty air can all have an effect. So it's certainly not ever set in stone that you can or can't make the tyres last to the end. Bazooka Joe and Kieran both started on the medium tyres, and given how early the safety car is in the Grand Prix, these two could put themselves very even on strategy compared to the midfield. So staying out actually could gain them a lot of time towards the latter stage of the Grand Prix if they can make these medium tyres go a little bit longer.
Definitely. yeah, they're gonna be in a very good position because all the guys on the mediums have to stop once again, and these guys only have to stop again if they can make the mediums go a little bit longer with a few safety. Definitely in a good position.
Ready to go again then. Here in Australia, lap number 5 going on to lap 6. Bazooka Joe will control the pace, no overtaking until the start finish line, which is the rule that was brought back for last year. It was changed in 2010 to the safety car line, but back to the original start finish line. Around the final corner goes Bazooka Joe, and it looked like a start from him. Kieran in second in the Red Bull, then Morgan in P3, and Elian and Canute side by side. Yep, looks as though Elian's actually letting Canute go. Yeah, he is, down towards turn 1. And actually had a look at the inside, didn't he, Elian? But Canute then has that position. So I think the Ferrari's there playing the game. Here comes JT though, and he's getting past Elian as well. Yeah, so Elian was lenient with his teammate Canute. I don't think he was trying to be lenient with JT, but there was nothing he could do about that one. A really good run through turns 1 and 2 for the Red Bull driver. And you just wonder here how much Elian is going to start to struggle on these tires, because he's got Trench and James right behind him. And here comes Trench down towards turn 6. Oh, I was just going to say he's not going to go for that, is he? Very nearly went for it. James is under pressure as well from Carwin Rob. Through turn 8 they go, and now Trench is down the inside of Elian in towards turn 9. Oh, Elian tried to keep his Ferrari there, and that gives James the chance as well around the outside. And here comes Carwin Rob as well in the half. Elian's losing positions hand over fist here in Australia. And yeah, Rob gets the move done as well. And next up is going to be Sam in P10 to try and pass him. JT's just picked up a penalty, by the way, in the Red Bull. So that could play a huge factor towards the end of this Grand Prix. And down the inside where it goes Sam, and yeah, Sam's got the move done on Elian as well. Next is Vapor Shea to try and get past the Ferrari. Elian here has lost so many places just on the first laps. His safety car. What's happened, Ben?
It was just Prentice went down the inside of Shea, so now he's going to have a look at the Ferrari of Elian.
Jack Prentice down the inside on Elian. Oh, a little bit of contact by the looks of it into turn 1, but yeah, Jack Prentice gets the move done on Elian, and Vapor Shea's passed as well. And Button's back is also right behind him as he looks for a move down the inside. Oh, look at TDB round the outside of Lord Alam. That was audacious, and Cobalt gets in front. So TDB back down to P16, went for a really daring late braking move round the outside. You don't see that very often. And it didn't really pay off for him. Elian is under serious pressure here from Button's back. And there we go, the Mercedes down the inside. And what about Lord Alam as well? Lord Alam is also side by side with Elian. TDB side by side with Cobalt as well. Those two dicing for position. They're also right behind Elian. It could be 3 wide down towards turn 11. TDB and Cobalt still wheel to wheel. Oh, TDB's down the inside of Elian, and Cobalt's passed as well. And Elian is down to P16 on the first 2 laps since the safety car. What a horrific restart it's been for the Ferrari.
Yeah, that's definitely not so good for him. He hasn't found any rhythm after the safety car restart, and he has taken some battles that he probably shouldn't have taken, because it has cost him going out of the corners.
Yeah, what's even worse as well is that he's on the hard tyres already, so it's almost like it won't really pay to go onto a different tyre at this stage, because he could go onto the hards, but of course he'd then have to stop again anyway because he started on the hards. So this race couldn't have gone worse, and that safety car couldn't have been worse timed really for Elian. I guess that's the risk though, isn't it, Ben? When you start on the hard tyres, if a safety car comes out, it essentially just ruins your strategy straight away.
Yeah, it definitely does, because there's no way you're gonna pit at the start of the race, even though a safety car is gonna come out, because you know you have to make those hard tires stretch, so you can maybe go on the soft if you can make them stretch long enough, or the mediums. Bazooka gets a penalty if you want.
Yeah, Bazooka Joe took a penalty.
But yeah, you definitely need to hope that there isn't going to be safety car if you start on the hards, because it's really gonna destroy your race, because the others can go in and pit for mediums as we saw here, and they're just gonna have more fresh tires and quicker tires.
Bazooka Joe is under a lot of pressure here from Morgan, so the Haas driver about to take the lead of the Grand Prix for the first time, I think, and down towards turn 1 they go, and down the inside goes Morgan, and into the lead, and into the gravel by the looks of it. No, it was just a game.
No,
he has, yeah.
It was the game.
He's still going. Good co-masters. Right, Morgan does need the Grand Prix. Did make the move stick on Bazooka Joe. And yeah, so Morgan then has the lead. Right, Vapor Canute is going to be the next one then to go for the move on Joe. And the Alfa Romeo driver is in danger here of doing what Elian did and losing all sorts of positions as Canute gets closer in towards turn 9. Isn't close enough though for the overtake. Kieran, by the way, and I've only just noticed, is down in P15 and he's on 8-lap hold mediums. So I think he's made a mistake somewhere, isn't he, Kieran? And ended up down the order whilst we were watching Elian losing all those positions, and we didn't notice Kieran falling all the way down the order from P2 after the restart. Oh, and yeah, well, I'm watching Vapor Canute just get past Bazooka Joe, and where's James in the racing point? There he is. Oh, and contact as well with Kieran, and Kieran's out of the Grand Prix. Vapor James, I think, moved across or slowed down or something, completely caught Kieran out, and as a result, Kieran is out of the Grand Prix. What on earth happened there between James and Kieran? I don't think Kieran's really going to care. Either way, he's going to be absolutely livid at James, who is into the pits now in the racing point. So he just spun the car. And after that, I'd love to know exactly what happened. I think he was actually slowing down to let some drivers go with his front wing damage. But I think Kieran misjudged it and went into the back of it. But that is now 2 drivers out of this Grand Prix. No safety car deployed. And crucially here, Vapor Canute has cleared Bazooka Joe just in time. Such that he's only 7/10 behind the race leader Morgan. So the Ferrari is right up behind the Haas, looking to regain the lead of the Grand Prix. Vapor Trench is right behind JT, and JT and Bazooka Joe both have penalties in front of Vapor Trench. Oh, JT gets another one. Penalty. Yeah, cutting across turn 12. So that's 2 penalties for him, 6 seconds worth of penalties in the Australian Grand Prix for him. Vapor Trench, the championship leader, looking then to get up into E3. It would mean that if it were to finish this way, the championship would be cut. The championship lead would be cut slightly. Vapor Canute currently on to score 18 points. Excuse me, 19 points. We've got the fastest lap as well. And Vapor Trench on for 10 points. So the lead in the championship would be cut to 23 points. If my maths haven't betrayed me, which they probably have. Right, here comes JC down the inside of Bazooka Joe, and yeah, has it done. Into P3 goes the Red Bull driver. So Bazooka Joe isn't losing as much time as Elian was off the restart. Yeah, he's very close, isn't he, Vapor Trench? Just having to back out of it, though.
Yeah, he had a little look.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But he decided not to go for it.
Turn 5, sadly, not really much of an overtaking spot. Buttons back has another penalty in the Mercedes. It's been a bit of a rotten season for Buttons back. Monaco was his 4th DNF of the season, and he's only had 1 points finish as well. So it's been a wretched time for Buttons back, and those are all in the 5 races that he's had with us this season. So it's a championship that couldn't really have gotten worse so far for Buttons back. He's currently P9, so on for a points finish, but he does have penalties, so we'll see if he'll still finish in the points come the end of the race. Vapor Trench is all over Bazooka Joe, who is struggling to keep that Alfa Romeo on the track. And how long you wonder until Bazooka Joe pits. He is on the mediums, but he does now pit, so that releases Vapor Trench. He'll be very happy about that because he was getting a little bit stuck behind the German driver. And Joe's pit stop is going to put him out of the points for now, but he will go onto the hards. And of course, he'll have the advantage of quite a few of the medium runners having to stop again between now and the end of the Grand Prix. So we'll see where Bazooka Joe finishes at the end of the race. He's going to rejoin behind Elian, I would imagine. Ooh, it's going to be pretty close between those two, but he does manage to get ahead of the Ferrari. So Bazooka Joe to P12, Elian P13 behind him. Elian trying to recover. still on the same hard tyres that he started the race on, so he's really committed to this strategy. As I say, though, you kind of have to be committed to it, starting on the hard tyres. Kobart gets a penalty, currently holding the final points-paying position. So that's 7 drivers now on penalties in this Grand Prix. Right, Canute is very close here to Morgan. DRS on the run down towards turn 13. But it's not the longest braking zone on the circuit, so it's not too much of an overtaking opportunity. Unless your name is Daniel Ricciardo, in which case it probably is. Into turn 15. Bit of a lock-up for Canute. That's going to cost him a bit of time. So Morgan, I think, will just about get away with keeping the lead for the time being. Although Canute's going to get very, very close down towards turn 1. He won't be good enough for the move, but the effect of DRS and the slipstream really is working well here in Melbourne in the opening 13 laps. 17 laps to go. Thank you for joining us in the FPSL. My name is Rob Kershaw.
For JT.
JT with another penalty in the Red Bull. So yeah, thanks for joining us here in Australia. I'm joined by Benjamin Eriksson, Division 2 driver, giving us some expert insight for the final few races of the Division 1 Season 6 as Vapor Trench looks to close out his championship advantage. As we rejoin the battle for the lead. Canute right behind Morgan. 0.3 of a second, just under now, separating these two. It looks, Ben, like a matter of time until Canute gets this job done.
Yeah, he's definitely driving really fast right now, and he's found a good rhythm. So yeah, I think it's about time whether he's gonna get past now.
Oh, JT's out. JT's out in the Red Bull. What has happened to JT? Oh, he's spun out of turn 12. So he's done exactly what Brown did earlier in the Grand Prix and spun on the exit of turn 12 and into the barrier. That is a shock, Ben, to see JT crashing out of this Grand Prix. 2 non-finishes in a row.
Yeah, I mean that's just sad for JT to get another DNF on here, under his name, but it happens. And if he had to crash at any place out of turn 12 is the most. Yeah.
It's the most popular crashing spot, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Jack Prentice has to come into the pits, and he's now rejoined in P11, just behind Bazooka Joe. A lot of drivers with penalties now. Carwin Rob, Vapor Shea, Buttons Back, TDB. It's easier to list the drivers that haven't got penalties. Morgan, Canute, Trench, Jack, Elian, all without penalties in this Grand Prix. The rest of them have picked up penalties so far in the Grand Prix. That was easier, wasn't it? Just saying the drivers who haven't got one. As Canute once again follows Morgan out of turn 12. So turn 12 is difficult enough, Ben, when you're following another car with the dirty air. How difficult is it to negotiate turn 12?
It's very difficult to negotiate turn 12 if you have a car in front of you. Yeah, just from personal experience, if you get that dirty air that you really don't want to drive in. Weber almost lost his back end there. He made a little drift
up there at the final corner.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very hard to negotiate that turn 12 with dirty air.
Buttons Back is into the pits for Mercedes. Mercedes, one of 8 different constructors to have won the Australian Grand Prix. McLaren, Williams, Ferrari, Renault, Red Bull, Lotus. Can you name the other one, Ben? It's obvious, but it's not obvious. It begins with a B.
Braun.
Yeah, that's the one. 2009, that incredible year for Braun GP, winning here in Melbourne, first race of the season. Got a 1-2 as well in that race with Jenson Button. It makes me feel old. I remember that really well. But, 11 years ago now. That's incredible. Morgan still leading. He started this race in second in the Haas. And we've had 9 wins from second as well. 9 wins from pole, 9 wins from second. Here in Australia, Vapor Trench gets a penalty in the McLaren. That's another one with a penalty to his name. And so we only need 4 more drivers now to get penalties, and then we've got a full house of drivers with penalties in this Grand Prix. James and Sam, who are the last 2 in this Grand Prix, have picked up infringements as well. James involved in that drama a few laps ago with Kieran, which resulted in the Red Bull driver going out of the Grand Prix. Second race in a row, Ben, that we've had both Red Bulls retiring from the race. It's not been very good for them last couple of rounds.
The Red Bulls are definitely very unlucky. I would say so, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see if they can find a rhythm going into some further races, because they have two good drivers that should be able to score some points for them. They just haven't found the rhythm so far.
Morgan's doing really well here against Canute. He's keeping the Ferrari at bay, and just kind of sense that Canute's running out of options. He's running out of patience almost with the Haas in front. And we'll see if Morgan can keep this together and keep hold of the win. Of course, those of you who have just joined us, Canute started on pole, Morgan started P2, but the early safety car brought out a round of pit stops, and during all of that, Morgan managed to jump Canute in the pits and give himself the lead of the Grand Prix. Could, of course, be, Ben, as well, that penalties play a factor in who wins this race, because all but 4 of the drivers now have penalties in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, there can definitely be a few position changes at the end if we keep the amount of penalties going for the entire race. So yeah, I really think penalties are going to be a factor at the end, and it can switch some places around.
In the battle for 5th as well, TDB is just behind Vaporshade, just had to scoop up the back end going through turn 2 in the Renault. Yeah, currently 3/10 behind the Racing Point driver, with Koba a couple of seconds behind them, and Jack Prentice has been going side by side with Bazooka Joe, and he gets ahead of him into P9 now for Jack Prentice. Bazooka Joe looks to come back at him, dives down the inside into turn 3. Oh, very close to contact. Jack Prentice does so well to see the Alfa Romeo coming, and he just about manages to avoid the nose of the Alfa Romeo, which was...
Cruz is gonna have a look at Morgan.
Yeah, he's very close here to Morgan, down to turn 13. Oh, Morgan, late move, and now Canute's going to cut back underneath him. No, not quite able to take the lead into turn 14. That was the best chance yet, the closest Canute has come to retaking the lead, but hasn't pulled it off just yet. But now around the final corner, is he going to be close enough here? Well, Morgan's done so well to get a good run through the final turn, and that is going to deny Canute the opportunity in towards turn 1. But he's knocking on the door, isn't he, Canute? It's just not quite coming down yet.
This battle is going to be incredibly good for the rest of the race, I think. And I definitely think we're going to have a few more close battles between these two, or fighting for the race win.
Jack Prentice just got past Lord of Lamb, and TDB gets past Vaporshade, so he's been threatening that. Oh, he loses the back end, does so well to hold on to it. Brilliant from the Renault driver. Went for a brilliant move down the inside, and then a bit of Tokyo drift as well on the exit. Superbly done, 10 out of 10 for execution, and up to 5th place now goes the Renault driver. He's past Vaporshade and up into the top 5. Of course, he needs these positions. TDB's 30 points behind Vapor Trench in the championship, and now currently 2 positions behind the McLaren driver. Canute once again down towards turn 13. Isn't close enough to the Haas of Morgan yet, but what a battle this is turning out to be for the win. We had a 3-way battle in Monaco between Canute, Carwin Robb and Morgan, and it's once again a Ferrari, and it's once again a Haas in the battle for the win in Australia. Canute still in the Ferrari challenging for the win, but it's our debutant Morgan who has made an exceptional start to his FPSL career, who has the lead. It's James with the fastest lap, 122.8. James, though, is a lap down, I believe. Yeah, he is, to the leaders, so it's been a bit of a disastrous race for him, has to be said. Down in P14. No points in China either, as far as I can remember, in his last race with us. Of course, then missed out Monaco due to that incident he had with Vapor King. Bazooka Joe is right behind Lord of Lamb. And he's trying to go round the outside of the turn 1, but not quite close enough just yet to the McLaren. This is for the final points position. As Weber gets a penalty. Behind them is Buttons back as well, who is really closing up to these two. And Bazooka Joe, no, not close enough into turn 3. Doesn't go for the move. Oh, slightly wide goes Buttons back behind them. Looking to score points for only the second time this season. And I'm sure even as neutrals, we're probably rooting for him just to get some more points on the board. As Canute exits turn 13, still chasing after the Haas. Buttons back is once again the only driver for Mercedes in this Grand Prix, with Decenio not joining us. Decenio himself has 3 points finishes to his name this season. 1 win and 1 podium, and of course that was in Italy when he won the Grand Prix from 18th on the grid, which was an incredible performance then, but hasn't really been near the front since then. And quite a few pit stops happening now then. So Vapor Trench, TDB and Cobalt all into the pits. And I imagine this is going to be, soft tyres on for Trench and for TDB. And Cobalt surely will be on the softs as well, yes, towards the end of the Grand Prix. So I think we're going to have some pretty quick lap times coming in now, Ben. I think I've lost Ben.
Hello?
Hello, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, I was just saying that quite a few drivers now going onto the soft tyres as Canute has a look into turn 13. So we're going to see the lap times really start to plummet now towards the end of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to see a few more faster laps coming in right now on those fresh soft tyres, and also a lot of great battles in the midfield with those soft tyres, I think.
Speaking of which, TDB's just managed to get ahead of Bazooka Joe, so that's P7 now for him, so already making up some of that time that he lost in the pits. Buttons back on mediums, 5 lap on mediums, so I imagine he's going to try and make those go to the end. Behind him Cobalt and also Elian. Elian's quite a way back, so I think Buttons back here might just be on for a point potentially, but we will see. Back to the 2 leaders, Morgan and Vapor Canute will both have to stop again. They're on the hard tyres pitted onto in the early safety car period. Vapor Shea out of the pit and has to regain the back end as he lights up the rears out of the pit lane, and down to P9 goes Vapor Shea. So on fresh softs for him, so we should start to see the Racing Point driver picking off the positions as he looks to make up the ground that he's just lost pitting. Canute out of turn 12, close to Morgan, but once again by the looks of it not close enough. And you just start to wonder whether our current world champion will start to get a little bit frustrated, stuck behind the Haas driver. Morgan doing so well to hold on to this lead for the time being, and both of the drivers carrying on for at least another lap on the hard tyres. They've done well, haven't they, Ben, to make these hards go this far into the race?
Yeah, they have, and I actually think they are gonna try and stretch it to the end on those hard tyres. But of course, he's gonna get a very good run of him.
Here comes Canute trying to go round the outside of turn 3. Can he pull it off? It would be a great move if he can. He's on the inside for turn 4 as Morgan defends the outside.
That's great.
Brilliant defending. What fantastic racing that is. Morgan keeps the lead. That was exceptional between those two.
That was a very good battle between those two. Knut going around the outside and then having the inside for the next corner, but Morgan keeping his foot on the throttle and keeping the outside.
TDB spins! TDB's in the wall in the Renault! Jack Prentice was defending from him, and TDB trying to get the move done. Spun through turn 2 and into the barrier. And he's just pitted onto those fresh soft tyres, and he's ruined his race.
Again.
And Vapor Canute out front. Oh, he's round the outside, and this time he's got it, but he runs slightly wide. Morgan nearly makes contact with him. Can he defend the inside? No, he can't. Canute round the outside and into the lead of the Australian Grand Prix. He took pole position. He lost the lead through the early pit stops, but now Vapor Canute regains the lead in Australia. That move was coming, and finally it's happened.
Yeah, he's gonna be very relieved, Knuth, right now, because now he's gonna have some fresh air, and he might pull away from him. Morgan, he's at least gonna have a go at pulling away from him, because he's not gonna have to take care of him in front of him right now. So that was a very good racing from Morgan and Knuth, and amazing overtake from Knuth. Oh,
TDB's out of the race.
Retired.
Yeah, so you rather feel now as though that is TDB's championship hopes gone.
Yeah.
What this may do is give... Well, no, actually, no. Canute and Morgan are in the first sector still, so they're not going to be able to pit under this virtual safety car, but of course they have... Ooh, well, have they got a window? No. So I think you're right, Ben. I think they are going to try and take this tire to the end. Carwin Robb as well in P3 is also on the hards that he pitted onto early on. And we could see two Haas cars on the podium here in Melbourne.
Yeah, we definitely could. And looking at the penalty situation, it looks pretty good for Carwin as well. He only has 6 seconds of penalties, and Trench behind him has 3. But we have to remember that Trench are on the soft, so if Trench can gain about 10 seconds on Carwin, he would be able to get into P3. But 10 seconds on 6 lap is going to be hard, even though you're on the soft against the hards.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, he's just closed the gap by a whole second since we got back underway from the virtual safety car. So whether that was just a bit of a sluggish restart for Carwin Robb, I'm not too sure, but a very good restart from Vapor Trench. As back underway, green flag racing in Australia. Vapor Canute leading the Grand Prix. We took the lead from Morgan, and I believe, yeah, he is. He's about to lap his teammate Elliot. And I'm pretty sure this is the second time in the last 2 races. He lapped him in Monaco as well. In amongst all that, Cobalt had just gotten past Vapor Shea. He's now getting past Buttons back down towards turn 1. And he gets the move done. Vapor Shea has a look, but isn't quite in a position to go for the overtake just yet on the Mercedes driver. But down towards turn 3. Buttons back is a bit squirmish on the exit of turn 2. Vapor Shea might have a look. Tries to go round the outside of the Mercedes. That's an audacious move. Buttons back defends the inside and now defends the outside. Vapor Shea has to take to the inside curb to avoid the Mercedes and has to stay behind for the time being. But Cobalt in the Williams up to P6 now for him. Looking only for his third points finish of the season in the Williams. So really needs a good result here, Cobalt, and he's on for it at the moment, just over a second behind Jack Prentice. Cobalt has penalties. Jack Prentice does not have any penalties in this Australian Grand Prix. And if Vapor Shea has any designs on closing the gap back up to Cobalt, he's got to get past Buttons back very quickly. The Mercedes has just picked up another penalty, so I think he's on at least 9 seconds worth of penalties now in the Mercedes. But I would think he looks pretty good for scoring points for the second time this season, does Buttons back. But we shall see as this race progresses. Go on.
Yeah, we have to remember that Buttons back have 21 seconds of penalties.
It's 21 seconds of penalties. Oh my goodness. I thought it was 9 or 12 or something. As he defends from Vapor Shea, goes wide at turn 2, and Vapor Shea surely here with DRS down towards turn 3. Vapor Shea's got the inside. Buttons back tries to defend the outside. Little bit of contact. Really good, brave defending from Buttons back, but Vapor Shea has the grip. He's got the line, and he gets past Buttons back. Go on, Ben.
Yeah, that was, Sam and Lord Alarm behind Buttons back has 6 seconds and 9 seconds as well, I just noticed. So he just have to keep them outside of, oh no, my math, 11 to 12 seconds. I think he has to keep Sam out of, in charge of facing in front of him.
Morgan's just got a penalty. I think that chances of the win gone. He's fallen a second and a half behind Canute. Yeah, well, your maths are at, Ben, because they're bound to be better than mine, don't worry. Cobalt right behind Jack Prentice in this battle for 5th place as he rounds the final corner. surely here with DRS. He's going to ahead of the Alpha Tauri. He chases him down towards turn 1. Jack Prentice goes defensive. Cobalt goes to the outside, and Jack defends. Oh, that's brilliant. Gets ahead of the Alpha Tauri round the outside of turn 1. Exceptional move there from the Williams driver to get himself up into 5th place here in Melbourne. Great move.
Yeah, that was a really nice move from Cobalt, going around the outside into turn 1, and clean fair racing and a great overtake.
Buttons back and Lord Lamb very, very close through turns 1 and 2. A little bit of contact. It was almost like slow motion as we went through turns 1 and 2. Bazooka Joe now down the outside, down the inside into turn 3. Lord Lamb defends the inside, and very, very close. But Bazooka Joe has the move done into turn 5, or does he? Lord Lamb takes to the grass to try and defend his position. He was so desperate to hold on to the final point in this Grand Prix, but Bazooka Joe has the move done up into 10th place. That was close, wasn't it, between those two?
Yeah, that was a nice battle between those two guys with some touches in the fight, but at the end nobody got damaged and nobody retired or crashed. So a great battle between those.
Vapor Shea is now right behind Jack Prentice. He's got him in his crosshairs as
they
approach turn 1. Yeah, he's gone to the inside. Jack Prentice won't even defend the inside this time. And Vapor Shea streams past the Alpha Tauri into turn 1 and gets that car up into 6th place. Oh, yeah, a bit of a spin as well for Jack Prentice. And now Buttons back is going to be down the inside towards turn 3. And, yeah, he's got it done. Bit of contact as well. So, yeah, Jack Prentice, I think maybe was too busy looking at Shea in front of it and just lost the back end through turn 2. Managed, though, to avoid... I think, Ben, he's got damage. Yeah, he has. He's got end plate damage on the left. So, oh, dear. So he was running very well, actually. Jack Prentice, a consistent driver, but a lack of judgment there. Well, he's only got another lap and a half to go, hasn't he? So he should be able to make that car get to the end of the Grand Prix. But that's a shame, because that's a position needlessly lost there in the process.
Yeah, Jack Prentice is the... Elena also has 0 seconds of penalties, but Buttons back and Shea and Cobalt in front of him all have penalties, and Shea is the guy with the least amount of penalties, and that's still 6 seconds. So that damage is really gonna hurt him, but he might be able to still get in front of Buttons back and Cobalt and still finish P5 if he can get the car to the end.
Yeah, Elian is P12. He's only got one point finished this season. He's 27 seconds behind Lord Lamb, who was just the car in front. So I think even with the penalties, I don't think Elian has any chance of scoring any points today, but we'll see at the end. Jack Prentice does have a penalty, so that was for exceeding track limits, which is understandable given that he's... yeah, there we go. He's came out quite a few times in Monaco, and it's happened here as well.
Yep.
As Vapor Canute starts his final lap of the Grand Prix, well, he's had to wait 7 races for his first victory in the Formula PlayStation League. Missed the first round of racing, but got himself a podium in Singapore, and that was when we really started to think that Vapor Canute was back in business in the Formula PlayStation League. But it hasn't quite clicked for Vapor Canute since he's moved from purple of Red Bull last season to the red of Ferrari for this season. He has got 3 podiums, 2 poles now, and this will be also his 5th points finish from the first 6 races of the season. Had 1 DNF this season. His pace has been pretty decent. He's out-qualified Elian 4 times, out-raced him 3 times. It just hasn't quite been the same glowing form that we saw him in last season.
3 seconds.
Lord Lamb with... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Canute with a penalty as well. So there we go. Commentator's curse once again coming out. But last season, 6 wins, 8 podiums.
Oh, he almost lost it!
Oh, loses the back end! I need to stop talking, Ben. I'm going to cost Canute the win at this rate. As,
wait, what's happened?
What's happened to him? What's happened to Canute?
Oh, he's out of fuel!
Lost the lead!
He's out of fuel!
He's out of fuel! Oh my goodness me! Vapor Canute! Oh no! At the very last lap he's run out of fuel! And Morgan, on his debut, wins the Australian Grand Prix! Vapor Canute finishes second in Australia! Oh, the commentator's curse has hit Canute like a freight train in Australia! Morgan, in his first race in the Formula PlayStation League, takes the win. Canute, after leading the race on the final lap, has run out of fuel, and it's cost him the win. Carwin Robb P3 in the hats. Vapor Trench takes fourth for McLaren. Cobalt will be fifth, just in front of Vapor Shea. Well, he loses out to Vapor Shea because of penalties. Buttons Back will be seventh. Jack Prentice eighth. We'll see how penalties affect that one. Jack Prentice does get up to 7th place. What about Sam in the Alfa Romeo? He's currently in 8th place. But here, I would imagine penalties will also cost... Yeah, Buttons Back has lost that one as well. But unbelievably, I was just talking about Canute. I was singing his praises. I was talking about how amazing this race win was for him. His first win of the season. And he ran out of fuel. And Morgan, on his debut in the Formula PlayStation League from second on the grid, takes the victory. I don't know what to say, Ben. I almost feel partially responsible for that, for all that talking I was doing on the final lap. Canute had a puncture. He's just telling me he had a puncture. Right, so we were saying that. So they tried to make the hards go so long into the Grand Prix, and Canute got a puncture right at the end. Maybe we were both blind, Ben, but I didn't see it. But he had a puncture right at the end in Vapor Canute. Oh, what a shame for him. But Morgan takes the win as a result. Vapor Canute second for Ferrari. It should have been his victory, but for that puncture, so unlucky for him. Carwin Robb in third place. Vapor Trench in fourth. Vapor Shea in P5. Cobalt P6. Jack Prentice 7th. Sam in 8th. Bazooka Joe 9th. Buttons Back just holds on for his second points finish of the season. Lorna Lamb P11. Elian P12. James in P13 after a disastrous race for him. And TDB, JT, Kieran and Brown all out of the Australian Grand Prix. Ben, what a finish. Just before we go, driver of the day. Yeah, both Haas cars on the podium, one of them getting the win, and a Ferrari right at the end. Vapor Canute losing out on the win due to a puncture. A dramatic end to the Australian Grand Prix. Ben, thank you very much for your company this evening. Thanks very much to all of you for watching. And until next time, good night.